Hey guys, welcome back. Another video. Today we're going to be going over when you should be disarming Polarity ATI. Okay, it's going to be pretty simple, and how I like to use Polarity ATI lately. Okay, so this is Friday, so just a couple days ago. I always like to disarm Polarity right on the open. Okay, let a few candles develop on the open so you have that idea of what the delta is looking like, or just get a read on what the actual market's doing on the open. Okay, so this is the first candle on the open, and this is what I would like to do. Okay, so we have a derived zone right below us with a point of control in it. We have absorption at the highs and some buy and sell imbalance. So we're just going to mark out all of that. Okay, and down at the lows, we also have absorption down here with a buy imbalance at this derived zone. See that? With point of control here and point of control here. So I would be disarmed right here. Now what we're going to be doing is waiting for a breakout of either one of these. So we either want to see a super strong break below this derived zone with really negative delta. We could flip trend into a trend mode there. Or we want to see if we're chopping around this derived zone, but the highest quality is going to be waiting for a breakout to the upside with strong delta or the downside with strong delta. You can see here we came down, kind of chopped around this derived zone, and we got a bounce through absorption at the lows here, and a pretty strong, about almost 500 positive delta. Okay, so at this moment we've seen delta and price is pretty correlated, and on this candle we pushed through the drive zone on absorption at the lows, and now we're moving back above. Okay, so this could be our first indication of flipping it to trend mode, seeing we pushed down through the drive zone and we found absorption down there, and now we're pushing back up with strong buying. Okay, so you could flip the trend mode there, suspecting an early breakout. And now here we have about 700 positive delta. I'm going to consider this basically breaking through this absorption up here. So at this point I would be switching into trend mode. Okay, we have you'd be disarmed usually the first couple of candles to see what happens. We marked out our areas of interest, our absorption up here, and price and delta is perfectly correlated since the open. We're getting that breakout right now. Arm to trend mode. There's your first up candle. This does stick to our other strategy of the manual testing. You could have taken a manual entry here because we have 1,000 negative delta on that move up. So another kind of sign to be in trend mode, honestly. So we flip to trend mode here. Really strong positive delta breaking out of this absorption. Okay. You can see now we're getting that still that other move up, and now price delta is still perfectly correlated. Okay. Now I don't know if there's any triple stacked imbalances in here because sometimes they disappear. But the idea is you would have been flipping to trend mode on this breakout right here. Okay. And now we're finding absorption at the highs up here with really negative delta. So I'd still be in trend mode at this very moment. Then right here we see a derived zone form. Okay, still strong delta. You would have been in trend mode, right? And there you go. You just got a win there if you didn't get a couple wins here, or at least one win there. So price delta is still correlated pretty nicely. We got that breakout right here. You saw us bounce through this derived zone with absorption, move up. Right here, strong delta on the breakout of this absorption, move up. On absorption here, but price and delta is still correlated on these two candles. Still trend mode. Got a win there, right? Now we have absorption at the highs. Delta's starting to taper off, starting to move towards that negative delta, right? Now we have absorption up here, and it's 10 o'clock. So at this point on this candle, you might want to disarm right here. The reason I'm saying that is delta is basically zero. We don't know if buyers or sellers are strong. Okay, we have a derived zone here. We might end up chopping around the derived zone, and it's just going to be smartest to disarm. Okay, if you don't 100% know. So now we're going to kind of be waiting. We're going to see if this derived zone we get really strong push through with negative delta. We could get a move down, or we could see obviously continuation to the upside. Okay, here we find absorption at the lows, buying starting to come back in, buy imbalances here. So this could have been your early indication to flip back to trend mode, as price and delta is still correlated, and we're not wanting to move towards this derived zone or wanting to continue up. We had absorption here again, buy imbalance here. Okay, and still positive delta. Okay, so that could be your first indication. Kind of disarm after this candle. This candle closes back up, maybe you flip back to trend mode. If you get that continuation up, you'd be in trend mode still. Still in trend mode. We have absorption at the lows again, still a nice sign there. And now we have absorption at the highs. Okay, so now this is in a tricky spot, right? Right here we have absorption, and we have absorption and some imbalances up here. So now I think your smartest thing to do is going to be disarm again, because we do have a divergence here, right? And we have absorption here, but absorption here. So we might be starting a range, right? Might be starting a range, but we want to see just kind of, you could arm in regression at this point, but seeing how this move is trending upwards, it's probably smartest to disarm. No point in guessing it's going to be in regression mode, right? You can see we move down, find basically support right at this absorption, create new absorption buy imbalance here, and 500 negative delta on a move up. So definitely some signs that we're chopping, right? So could be arming in regression mode here, and would have been a nice sign to do that here, regression mode, if you did that, of course. Otherwise, it's probably smartest to wait and disarm and wait for those breakout moves with polarity, okay? Especially in this market. Here we get a really strong breakout, but yeah, there might have been news here, I don't really remember. But when you get a move like this where it's triple stack derived zones, a lot of times we'll chop around it. We don't necessarily move straight down. So, but it is really strong delta, so I'd probably wait one more candle and see if we start a trend move. Okay. So, not a super bearish candle. Got a big wick on it. Point of control is right inside of this zone, and volume's pretty light down here. So we do end up chopping around this derived zone. Again, as I just said, a lot of times when we get these triple stack derived zones, we do end up chopping around them. So that's what I've been noticing. You could arm regression when you see that, expecting us to move back into this to fill orders in this area, right? We do end up chopping. Now, once we get this green derived zone inside of this zone, right? Basically, you should probably, the smartest thing would be to disarm until you see a break through one of these derived zones, right? So if we get a break to the upside really strong through all these derived zones, arm it back in trend mode. Here, we have a green derived zone form, and we get a really strong push through it with negative delta. So you could be flipping it to trend mode here, getting that break through that derived zone with really strong negative delta. Okay, and you do see we get that push down right there. Bounce of this derived zone, blasted through it. Still a sign to be in trend mode in my opinion, because just as we mentioned here, breakthrough with really strong delta, trend mode here. We found a triple stacked here, so that might have been a loser, but then we also found a depends if you were gonna trade here, obviously. Then we found us breaking through this derived zone with really strong delta, and we moved up, right? Now we're back in this range, breaking through this with, looks like ease. You have absorption at the lows, buy imbalances here, right? So we're breaking through that. Again, you know, it's smartest in my opinion lately to just wait for those breakouts. Wait for those breakouts, okay? You can see here, using this as support again, and price and delta on this whole move is correlating very well. You'd want to be in trend mode here. You might want to disarm, honestly, this whole move from when this triple stack derived zone forms, could be smartest to disarm, because a lot of times we do chop around it, right? We chopped around, would have been regression here, then kind of trend move here, but now we're starting to regain correlation once you see some candles like this, steep downtrend, trend mode, right? And then we start moving back up. Price delta is still perfectly correlated. And then you can see here, once we broke out of, what did I just do? Oh yeah, okay. Once we broke out of this range, right? You can see there's kind of a range right here at the top. Broke through that really strong delta, flip that to trend mode. It's best, in my opinion, just to play the breakouts lately. If you don't see a clear range, just don't have it armed. Don't have it armed. Like right here, kind of messy, right? Kind of messy right here. Right here, can kind of see a clear range right here with these 4, 5 candles, right? And we broke out, really strong delta, arm that in trend mode, and we continue to move up for quite a while. Okay, so definitely some good fills in there. Here, we start chopping, we see this candle, this candle, this candle, right? Probably smartest to disarm here. All in this area, unless you wanted to risk a regression trend, but price and delta is still correlated, but it's not. So again, very risky up here in my personal opinion. Right, so you can kind of see this whole range right here. I'd say we'll call it from this derived zone up until here. You would have wanted to probably disarm once you saw these 3 candles right here. This candle, this candle, and this candle. Starting to chop around this derived zone, right? Then we see over here derived zone form. Now you basically be waiting for a breakout of this absorption with a candle closing fully above, or kind of a breakout of these absorptions right here in these drive zones. So we had a really strong break through this absorption. You could have armed an early trend mode here. Really strong break. Really strong break there. Really negative delta. Could have got an early trend flip. This is right when the market was closing. Again here, really strong negative delta through this drive zone, and we continue down, right? So basically, wait for those ranges, wait for the drive zones, wait for a break through those drive zones, through those ranges, and just arm it in trend mode. That's what I would be doing. I'd be disarming it if I see too much uncorrelation. Yeah, if you see any sort of potential regressive action, I would honestly just disarm. Or honestly, if you're uncomfortable, I'd disarm, let at least 2 or 3 candles on open, settle down before you arm, and basically only arm it in those trend environments. If you see us ranging, wait for a strong breakout of that range with really positive or really negative delta, and you can arm it in trend mode. If you see triple stack derived zones like this, a lot of times we do chop around them, so can be smart to just let it play out until you see what's really wanted to happen. Like right here, we never really broke out with strong delta, right? Then we shut back down, really negative delta. That could have been your sign to switch to trend mode, and then we get a trend mode move up, right? Hopefully that helped somewhat. Kind of all over the place, but wait for those ranges, wait for those absorptions, wait for those derived zones, and take the breakouts of them with the really corresponding deltas. Okay, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see ya.